why talk about something we don't want to talk about? Because we don't want to talk. We want this to be a safe place where all that stuff doesn't enter in here. There's a reason for that. Partly it's sort of our MO as a church. We like to talk about things that are relevant to people's lives. And the reality is politics is relevant to all of our lives, right? Because the reality is it impacts our lives. It not only impacts, it has impacted our life. When you think about the last 3 election cycles, the impact it's had on your own personal life, the people that you avoided over the last 3 cycles, right? The people that you unfriended, right? You know, you did the whole, not gonna like that, I'm just gonna hide them for the next 30 days, I'm just gonna kind of hide them like forever, right? I'm just gonna unfriend them. You know, people you have written off because how could they believe something like that? How could they support something like that? How could they stand for something like that? The people you have cut off out of your life. And for some of us, it's been really important people. People that 3 cycles ago, we would have never have thought we would have gotten to that place. I mean, friends, co-workers, neighbors, family members. Some of us have lost family members. Some of us no longer go to Thanksgiving or Christmas, not because we don't love our family, it's just that we can't stand our family. Let's just be honest, right? Because they're gonna talk about that, or that person, and how much they're, and the other, and there, we just don't wanna get it, we don't wanna get it, we just wanna stay away from it. So the reason to talk about it is because it has impacted, infected all of our lives. In fact, there's some wisdom that we ought to start with that comes from thousands of years ago. It was written by a guy named Solomon, who in his day was considered like the really smart person of his day. I was trying to think of somebody I could say we consider really smart today, but everybody I think that some of us would consider smart, there's always a little catch to them. There's always like a little dark side. So I'll just go with Albert Einstein. For kids, go back and Google it. You'll figure out who that was. He was like a really brilliant guy, right? But Solomon was kind of that guy. He was the smart one, the person who had great observations about life. And here's an observation he made. It's recorded in part of our Bible called Proverbs, this thoughts about life, chapter 4, verse 23, where he said, be careful what you think because, in fact, literally it says, above all that you guard, protect your heart. Above all that you guard, right? Because there's stuff that we guard in our life. We guard our emotions at times. You know, we guard our kids, we guard our finances. But above all that, guard your heart because your thoughts run your life. Life flows from it. And it's this reminder that how we think has such a big impact on us. So here's a little question to get us all on the same page this morning. Have our thoughts over these last 3 cycles, have our thoughts made us more loving, joyful, peaceful, patient, open, and kind? Or less loving, joyful, peaceful, patient, open, and kind? Or maybe these last 3 cycles have made us maybe more intolerant, more judgmental, more critical. Now, we don't like to think that's us. We think that's them, and we're just responding to that. But let me ask you a heartfelt question. Are we? Are we okay with what has happened, not just to our society and our culture and our nation, but what's happened to us and our families and our friends and all those pieces? And what if there's a way to push back on that? Because I think there is. In fact, Jesus thought there was something. In fact, he predicted something 2,000 years ago that we would be facing today, not specific to the whole presidential cycle. You know, we're not that arrogant to think he's all about us, but he did talk about something that is impacting all of that, and we're going to look at that today. But before we get there, I want to invite you to bow your heads and let's pray one more time together, right? Lord, it's a topic we don't want to talk about because we know it will divide us, and we don't want to be divided. We want to have a safe place in our lives where all of that stuff doesn't enter into. So today I ask for some help. I ask for help to keep my own political views out of all of this. And I ask for your help to just work in our lives. To help us maybe rethink how we rethink about all this stuff. The things that we feel strongly about, the things that we dislike so much that we actually hate. Maybe today to help us rethink about guarding our hearts because so much flows out of it. And if you can give us some tools or at least a nudge in that direction today, this will have been time well spent. In your name, amen. In getting ready for this series, I've been reading some stuff, listening to different things. One of my go-tos is Brene Brown. If you've been around, you know I love Brene Brown. Brilliant person, brain researcher. She's kind of been a hot, person to listen to. She was actually, I was watching a YouTube video of her. She was talking about just this whole political scene and how her family has sort of tried to deal with it. And she was talking to a friend of hers. She said, she told her friend, I'm worried about my daughter because she's, gotten to teenage years, going to get ready to go off to college. And she says, she's surrounded. She has 4 grandparents, and 2 of them are like ultra-conservative Republicans, and 2 of them are like ultra-liberal Democrats. And she said, I'm worried about my daughter, how that all impacts her. And I want you to notice what she said, her friend told her. She said, what a lucky child. To which she said, that's Brene Brown said, I said, why? And she said, because she's going to be able to understand that people she loves and people who love her believe differently than she believes. I don't know where she finds these friends. I wish I had friends like that. Friends that come up with these like really deeply insightful things. But what a different way to think about it, right? Instead of thinking about how much it's going to impact our child and it's going to be so bad for them, what a benefit for your child to know that there are people who love them, care about them, who believe differently than they believe. And that may be a good thing, because we have lost that ability to know that people we love and care about think things differently than we do. In fact, she goes on and says and that is a gift. It's a gift we don't often recognize. In fact, she went on in this talk and said, today we're raising kids to the ideologies, to parrot what we think and vilify other people. Surely not in your home, but I've heard this happens, right? It's gotten real quiet in here, by the way. And that's not our job, she says. As parents, that's not our job. Our job is to prepare them to stand their ground for what they believe in and fight for it, while being understanding and respectful that there are good people who may even love us and that we love who believe something different. If all we do is put down and badmouth other people and spend no time explaining why something is important or unimportant or serious to us, then what we're teaching them is compliance, not commitment. Pretty powerful stuff, right? Sort of makes us kind of step back and think, maybe I need to rethink how I've done this, not just this parenting thing, but even how I've thought about those people, right? People who love me and who I at one point loved, but now have gotten so kind of out of whack on. Because what if, and this is a long what if that exposure isn't about changing our beliefs and values? What about, the whole idea is we're worried that they're gonna maybe do something to change us, or gonna trick us into, saying something or believing something. We don't wanna do that. What if it's not about that? What if it's about shaping our ability, our willingness to be kind and understanding toward people we disagree with? Because it seems to me, just as a casual observer, or even more than a casual observer, that we've lost that ability. We've lost that ability to be kind and understanding to people who have different views than us. And so we've ended up, which isn't a surprise to us. I mean, it's just kind of all around us, this division, right? And the reality is nothing divides like politics, because nothing divides like fear. We fear something is going to be taken away, right? We're going to lose this right. We're going to lose this ability. They're going to, lose our nation. We're going to lose our morals, our values. We fear we're going to lose something. We fear of what might happen. If this person or this party gets in power, this is what's going to happen. We fear what's already happened. For some of us, this isn't just about fear of the future. It's fear of what we've already known and not wanting to have that experience again. And it's also the fear of the unknown. Fear is such an important driver of this whole political process. And there's a reason for that, which I think we've all know intuitively, but maybe haven't really put it into words. But the reality is suspicion is profitable. Right? I got some information you want to know about this person, and send me $25 and I will share it with you. Not only that, fear is profitable, right? If I can make you fear something and I'm the one that's going to rescue you and save you from that for just another $10, right? $25, maybe $100, that'd be a little better for all of us, right? Just kind of help me get there because I'm going to protect you. Or the reality is division is profitable. And you see it filled within this whole cycle. So much of the ads this time of the year are about fear and how bad the other person is more than how good or the good policies or directions or the things I'd want to do for this country. Here's the reality. There's a lot of money to be made by keeping us divided. A lot of money. And I'm going to show you in just a moment how much money was spent on the last election. It's mind-blowing. The reality, there's a lot of power to be preserved by creating this sense that we're more divided than maybe we actually are. To stir things up, right? To be fearful of what we're going to lose, what's going to be taken away. You know, if they get in power, you're not going to be able to vote. You're not going to have the ability to choose what you want to do with your body. And the other side says, no. If they get in power, they've already stolen the vote. They're going to take away your guns. And we build a fear. And I'm the one that's standing between you and them. So not only vote for me, send me some money so that we can get this word out. Here's a thing from the Federal Election Commission. This is from the presidential cycle, the last one, 2019, 2020, right? Presidential candidates raised and spent $4.1 billion in the 24 months of the 2019-2020 election cycle. Just the president candidates alone combined spent over $4 billion. But it gets worse, or better, depending on who you are. Congressional candidates collected approximately $4 billion and dispersed approximately $3.8 billion. That's the thing to keep in mind. This isn't like this money that came out of nowhere. This was money that came from people's donations. People who gave $10, $25, $100, up to the maximum of $3,300 if you gave directly to the candidate. But if you went through this thing called a PAC, it's all bets are off. You can give as much as you want. Because political parties received $3.2 billion. They received that and they spent $3 billion. And lastly, these PACs, political action committees, raised approximately $13.2 billion and spent $12.9 billion in the 24-month period. If you've been doing the math, you know that it totals a whole lot of money that was spent trying to win elections to get those spots. In fact, here's how the elections board put it out. You can see the numbers, you can add them all up. Here's the crazy thing, when you add all those things up, $24 billion was raised and spent on the last election cycle. $24 billion was raised simply to run ads and run campaigns to tell you how bad, how fearful, how you need to be worried about those other people. Is it any surprise that we're divided? In fact, I put it in a number that maybe we can better underappreciate, right? That's a whole lot of zeros. I could have put a decimal and a dot and 2 more zeros for the cents, but you get the idea. It's a whole lot of money. And when I see that, it tells me how profitable this whole idea of division is. That somewhere along the line, we've lost our way on all of this. Because let's just think about it, step back and think about it just in general, some common sense ideas. Has division ever led to a solution? Have any problems, are any problems being solved? I mean, really important problems, big problems. Does demonizing half the population, because that's what ends up, you look at the last few elections, it's pretty much 50-50. There's a couple of percentage points, but in general, it's 50-50. Does demonizing half the population based on party affiliation bring us together? And maybe a more important question, why don't we despise division as much as we despise the people who don't vote like us? Man, I feel like I'm here all by myself today. And I knew it was going to be this way, But this is important stuff. Because what if our enemy isn't the political party, but the division? What if that's the real enemy we ought to be looking at? Because the reality is Jesus prayed a prayer. In fact, in this prayer, it's an amazing prayer because in this prayer, he prays for you and I. which seems kind of weird that 2,000 years ago he was thinking about us, and would pray for us specifically, but he prays specifically for us. And he also prays in this prayer, he has a prayer request. Now, if you're not a religious person, didn't grow up in a Christian faith, a prayer request is when you pray and you request something, right? You say, I want to ask for this. This is what I'm asking for. It's what I'm asking God to answer, right? So Jesus actually had a prayer request, which seems kind of weird. You think, well, why would Jesus have a prayer request? But he's got a prayer request and he prays for us. So let's pick it up over in John chapter 17. The setting is, this is the last night he's going to be together with his disciples. As they started the evening, there were 12 disciples. Now there was 11 of them. Judas has left the building to go betray Jesus. And Jesus has these last few moments with the disciples before they'll leave this place, go out to this garden to pray some more. And it's in a spot where he'll get arrested, and then everything just falls apart. And he's taken from place to place. Ultimately, he'll be whipped and beaten and drug up, and then ultimately crucified and die this terrible death. And on this night, he knows, he has a sense about where he is in his life and what's going to happen. In fact, he begins it by saying this: Father, the time, the hour has come. I've been with these guys for 3.5 years. I've poured my life into them. I've tried to teach them, tried to guide them. But now it's coming to the point where I'm not going to be here any longer. I know that my death is imminent. And so, Father, give glory to, that is, honor your Son, so that your Son can give glory, that he can honor you. And he's saying, in this moment, God, I just need you to smile at me, to shine on me a little bit so that I can shine back to you, because this is going to be a really hard thing. It's one thing to face death. It's another thing to be facing death and know it's not within your control, that you know it's gonna go bad. And as he prays, he says, Father, I showed what you were like. I revealed your name to those you gave me from this world. And for these 3.5 years, I've been trying to help them have a better picture of who you are, because let's be honest, the picture of who you are has gotten messed up and, covered up by so many religious rules and beliefs and teachings. I just want them to see who you are, and I've tried to give them that example. I've given them a picture and showed what you're like. Then he prays this. He says, I'm praying for them, the guys that you gave me, right? The 12 that are now 11. I'm asking on their behalf. I'm not praying for asking on behalf of the people in the world, but for those you gave me. And this doesn't mean he doesn't care about the rest of the people, that he only cares about those 11. But he's just saying, in this moment, I'm focusing on them because this 11 has the potential to change the history of this planet. In fact, everybody, I think we'll look at this next week, everybody agrees, even atheists agree that Jesus changed the course of history. And it wasn't just Jesus, it was the 11 disciples and the multiple other disciples who were followers of Jesus, who after this event, after Jesus' death, after his burial, after his resurrection, after it finally sunk in that Jesus was actually alive, the change that happened in them and what they began to share and teach and tell and how they lived literally changed a whole culture. And Jesus says, listen, Father, I am glorified through them. Not just what they're going to do in the future. I'm glorified through them right now. I'm honored by the 11 that have stuck with me to this point. And I'm coming to you. Now, Jesus isn't telling God anything he doesn't know. Remember, he's again praying this open and aloud for his guys. It's as much for his guys as it is for him. And he's saying, hey, I'm coming to you. I've already told my guys I'm coming to you. They don't like it. Peter says he's going to go with me. I keep telling him, no, you can't go, but I'm coming to you because I can't stay in this world any longer. It's not because I can't stand any longer. It's just, I know my time has come. The time to step up and to fulfill one of the main reasons I came here for. That is to die for the sins of the world. Everybody sinned for all time, not just the ones that say yes to Jesus, but everybody sins. I'm there to die for those pieces. He says, listen, I'm not going to be here longer, but they are still here. They're still here, and I'm worried about them. In fact, he says, Holy Father, keep them safe Keep them safe by the power of your name, the name that you gave me. And when he says keep them safe, he's not talking about keeping them physically safe, though that would be our first assumption, right? But what he's talking about is something even more important than their physical safety, because notice what he says. So that they will be one, just as you and I are one. Keep them safe so that they'll stay one. Keep them safe, not from the physical stuff, but keep them safe from the emotional stuff. The pull of all the stuff that go in different directions, to pull them apart. Because if they can stay as one, they will do amazing things. And here's Jesus' request. I pray, not only for these followers, but I'm also asking and praying for all of those who will believe in me because of their teaching, because of their message. That's you and me. That's us, that Jesus was thinking about back then. Now, I don't know necessarily that he was thinking about, a specific group of people sitting in this place, our names right now, but he was thinking about all of those who would believe in the message from these 11 guys, as long as they were able to stay one, the impact of that and what would happen. And the people, that the next generation, and the next generation, and the next generation, and all the generations that would follow. And here's this prayer. Father, I pray, that they can be, what's the word? That they can be one. Jesus knows the power of being unified. He knew it in his own experience with his God the Father. He knew it in his own experience with the 12 guys, now 11. As you are in me and I am in you, I pray, this is my request, that they can also be one in us. There's more than just, they can be one connected. So that the world will know that you sent me, that this unity will make a statement. Because I think Jesus knows that the unity is going to be more than just a bunch of 11 Jewish guys. It's going to be literally hundreds and thousands of Jews and Gentiles, of rich people and poor people, of people from all sorts of different backgrounds, that all of those people would be one. There's a statement that knowing that there's this group that's united makes a statement about the one they believe in. He says, I'm praying that they will be one so that everybody, the world will know that you sent me. And that you loved them just as much as you loved me. That's a pretty cool idea, isn't it? That not only does God love us, but God loves us just as much as he loved Jesus. And it's easy to forget the value, the importance of unity. And unity doesn't mean everybody agrees 100% on everything, but it's this idea of this thing that connects us. The things that we agree on, the things that we value, the things that we value in each other. Because what if our diversity is what makes the unity so powerful? It's one of the things I love about New Hope. Look around you, just go and look around you. Look, don't just look at me, look around you, right? You see all different sorts of people, right? People with much better tans than I have, much better hair than I have. Different shapes, different sizes, different backgrounds, different ethnicities. Some of you, different languages, right? But isn't there something about all of that happening and coming together that makes a statement? That makes a statement about unity and how the diversity in that unity is what's so powerful. And what if we were more aware of what's at stake? Because sometimes, and I'll maybe just speak for myself, sometimes it's easy to get locked in on what I think is important and valuable and not think about what's at stake, me holding so tightly to that. Even things I feel strongly about. Because if Jesus really was praying for us 2,000 years ago, that was his request. Sort of one of his final requests. Doesn't that mean there's something important about it? But here's the reality. Unity doesn't come naturally, right? We have to work at it. We have to be intentional about it. It doesn't mean every moment we have to think, I have to be unified, I have to, but it's this idea that we make some choices to change that natural thing. And the reason it isn't natural is because we only know what we know, which I know is a brilliant thought for some of you. But it's true, right? We only know what we know. In fact, our political views make sense to us, right? Please don't share them. I'm not going to share mine with you. I'm going to try throughout the series. I want you to end up and think, I have no idea what Mike is. That will be a win for me, right? But our political views make sense to us, right? And here's the problem. Which we're thinking, wait, Mike, no. How could someone support such a person, believe such a thing, hold such a vision, think that way, right? I mean, don't tell me theirs can't make sense to anybody. Those are just foolish. Those are crazy. Those are, and we go off on our stuff. And what if the problem isn't just them? Yeah, you know where this is going, right? Because when we say, how could somebody, or I don't know how somebody could believe that, support that person, support him, support her, hold to those values, think that that's okay to really, make a big deal. I don't understand. When we make that, the reality is we're making a confession that we don't know something, that we're ignorant about something. And I don't know about you, I have chosen to be ignorant about a lot of things in life. Because I haven't spent time to listen to stuff or to research stuff or to follow through with stuff. And I'm guessing some of us have done the exact same things. Because I'm guessing a lot of us get our news reporting from a singular source. And there's a reason for that. We like what they say. We like the way they say it. We like the way that it supports where we think things are. We don't want to hear some other side, because if we hear the other side, it just makes us mad and angry and gets us worked up. But what if there's something we don't know? And maybe if we got to know it, it changed us, which I think is one of the fears of why we don't want to expose ourselves too much. We don't want to have somebody make an argument that we have no explanation for, right? Because let's be honest, a lot of the issues we are facing as a nation have no perfect answer to them. And there's two sides, and the sides seem farther apart, but we all recognize there's some problems here. The answer is, how do we fix that problem? And that becomes the big thing. And if you do it this way, that's going to happen. If you don't, that's going to happen. But here's the thing I want us to think about, because we only have 4 weeks left in this cycle, but the reality is, this cycle will not end November 5th, I think it is this year. It's going to go on beyond that. Because we are just in this cycle where it's just about winning points and making points. But on a personal level, let me give you a couple of ideas that maybe you'll try. And that is, the next time you're having a conversation with somebody who sees things dramatically different than you do, instead of waiting for your moment to drop the bombshell, because you got a bombshell, right? I can't wait to tell them this. I saw this on YouTube. This person had a great answer. This is how the answer. I can't wait to use that in life because it's so great, right? I can put them down and make them recognize how stupid their argument is. The next time you have that feeling, what if we listen to learn, not just to respond? Which actually is a good life principle, but especially in this area. Because let's be honest, a lot of the things when we're listening to somebody, we're just waiting for a chance to respond, like you are right now. You're thinking, I can't wait till Mike gets done because I'm going to catch him in the hallway and I'm going to tell him my business, right? You're not catching me today. I'm going to be really, really fast. But think about it. Isn't that true? So many of the conversations we have, we're just waiting to respond. If somebody we work with comes in, they're giving us something, give me the facts so I can get done. We're not listening to learn, we're listening just to respond. But what if we listen to learn? Because here's what I've discovered. When I intentionally listen to learn, I actually do learn stuff. And it isn't just learning how stupid their argument is, right? It's actually hearing somebody's story changes how I think about not just that person, but also the thing that they're that's important to them. Which may be, honestly, if we're being honest, maybe the reason we don't want to do that. Because we don't want to be changed. We don't want to have to think stuff through. We have a solid core set of beliefs about, how things ought to go, and we don't want anything to disrupt that. But here's some questions to ask if we were really interested in listening to learn versus listening to respond. Let me just give you a couple questions. What led you to believe that, have that view, hold that position? That will open you up to a lot of information, right? But notice it's not about, tell me about the position, right? But what led you to believe it? What led you to hold that? What is it that in that belief is so important to you as a person? Because then you might discover, I was raised this way. I had this experience growing up. I had this happen in life. And because of that, and then you begin to understand that, life and experiences shape so much of how we see things. Because the reality is when we discover someone's story, the context for their opinion, we begin to understand. And isn't it great to be able to understand? Nobody said yes. It'll be an uphill battle for the next few weeks, but it's all right. Here, I can just tell you from my personal life, one of the great blessings of coming to New Hope years ago, we had one of our guys was leading once a month in the afternoon on a Saturday. He was leading a discussion about growing up black, right? I didn't grow up black, so I have no idea what that's like, so I went. And the great thing was I learned a whole lot about growing up black that I would have never have learned in any other context, any other way, because these were people I knew, people I began to care about, people I began to appreciate. And what I discovered was nobody had a consistent story. It wasn't just like, this is what it's like to grow up black, this is what it's like to grow up white, this is like what it's grow up Hispanic or Portuguese, it was just like everybody's got some different stuff. And to hear the stories and hear the context and hear some of the commonalities that popped up was a gift to me. It literally changed how I thought about so many things. And I did it because I was willing to listen, to learn, not listen to push back on. And there's some kind of gift in all of that. Another question to ask is, have you always held this view, seen it that way? And if you haven't, what led you to that, right? And you're going to hear some story. Typically, you're going to hear some personal story. And again, a personal story helps explain, again, how somebody could believe something like that, support somebody like that, hold something like that as a value. It helps us answer the question, how could somebody, right? And it helps us give an answer to how could somebody do those things. Because what if? What if we learned how to share a workplace, a country maybe, with those who we disagree with? Because the reality is, we do share a country and a workplace with those who disagree with us. But what if we learned how to share that space? Because what if it's not our responsibility to fix others? Because let's be honest, we have a hard enough time fixing ourselves, right? What if we got over this is about fixing and getting my opinion out there? Because for some of us, it's about I have an opinion, I have to share it, because if I don't share it, it's not real, I'm not being true to myself. And in the process of being true to ourselves, we kind of just ignite stuff. My hope over these next few weeks is that maybe you and I, maybe we can actually be an answer to Jesus' prayer request. That we're able to be unified in the midst of diverse ideas and backgrounds and beliefs. That we don't let that stuff creep into this space and ruin something that's really good. Because the reality is, in the United States of America, it's not our opinion that counts. Which I know some of us are like, no, my opinion counts. No. In the United States of America, it doesn't count. So maybe we need to rethink how important our opinions are to ourselves, how important it is to share those things. Because the vote is the important piece. And I hope you vote. And I hope you have opinions. I just hope that you think a little more, that we all think a little bit more about how we share those opinions and those votes. Something to think about today.